Hello. Hey, ladies. Hey, uppity. Hey, pretty practical. Can you guys hear me? Let me know in the chat. How are you ladies doing? How is your Wednesday going? It's been so long since I went live, but hello, I've missed you ladies. I just took a little bit of time off. Been uploading videos instead of going live, but wow, so much has been happening like in the YouTube space and social media space, and I just wanted to talk about a few things. I just had some topics that I wanted to touch on um for a little bit more, so just a chick chat. Like the video as you ladies come on in. Hey Michelle. So where do I even begin? So as we know, or if you've seen, I touched on it a little bit, I believe, like in my last live, but one live I didn't leave it up, and it was on black male supremacy. So I think I kind of talked about it a little bit, but I didn't really do a full topic on emasculation. And Tachina Arnold, if I'm saying her name right, she did a tweet, talking about or asking how black women can help um, with black men not being emasculated anymore or something like that. And I just wanted to talk about emasculation in general because I posted it on my Instagram story. Um, I posted like a series of questions asking the ladies that follow me on Instagram if they believe there is if emasculation is even a thing, right? Because my take on it was, I personally, I don't believe emasculation is a thing. I don't. I don't believe that real men get emasculated. I think weak men fall victim to emasculation. I don't believe it's a normal thing, right? But a lot of the women that responded in those questions, a lot of the women were saying women have no control over this, you know, and women just need to stop helping the men, mind our business. So, a lot of the women just was like, how do you even respond to a man being emasculated and how to help him? And like, what does that even mean? Like, how does that mean anything? And it really, the thing is it doesn't mean anything. Okay. You cannot help a man stop being emasculated. That's just not possible. A strong man, it's impossible to even emasculate him. You can't do it. Usually, strong men aren't even going to be around people or in situations that are emasculating. They're going to separate themselves, period. They're not even going to entertain it. They're going to notice certain red flags in general. They're not even going to allow themselves to be in a position where they're the vulnerable ones as men because they're just too strong for that. They're too into their masculine. They're too confident. They're too self assured. They don't need to do that, right? They don't need to stick around situations that aren't elevating them. It just doesn't make any sense. And women respond much better to those kinds of men in the first place. And, you know, the topic of black men being emasculated, I've seen so many videos and commentary on this from different ladies, and they're all absolutely correct. Black men tend to emasculate themselves pretty much every time. I think even trying to address their own emasculation is emasculating. Like you acknowledging the fact as a black man that you get emasculated is emasculating. Like that is an emasculating thing to do, is to acknowledge your emasculation. Like, hope that makes sense. Because I feel like strong, healthy, masculine men would never even ask that question. They would never even bring up any situations where they were vulnerable and weak, not because they're ashamed or whatever, but because their mindset is just so strong, and they're just so confident and so assured that they're not even thinking about times when they were low, because they're too busy thinking about their future, their ambitions, their hard work, and things like that. Like they're not interested in wallowing in their weaknesses all of the time, right? So, the emasculation conversation, um, I think it's really embarrassing. It's embarrassing for a lot of black men to talk about this because it's just confirming a lot of things people think already. And I think if any group of men want to stop being emasculated, they just need to start doing better. And I was watching one live, and a lady she did technically answer the question on how women can stop um, aiding in the emasculation of black men. And I actually agree with a lot of the suggestions she gave to black women in particular on dealing with men like this, because the suggestions that she gave all had to do essentially with black women just being better ourselves. And some of those suggestions included black women no longer supporting rap music, right? No longer supporting men who talk about leaving their families and hoes this, hoes that, and gang violence. Stop supporting men like that. Um, you know, when you want to be physically intimate with a man, if you're able to wait, that is one way you can help aid in black men not being emasculated, because black men fall victim a lot of times. Well, actually, no, they don't fall victim. They choose to, be very hypersexual, right? Sleeping around and doing things like that. And one way that women can aid in that is to stop sleeping with them so easily. Stop sleeping with them over nothing. Because sleeping with these guys over nothing, you make them feel like they won something, but they technically didn't do anything to win anything, and they have you, if you know what I'm saying. So, she gave really great suggestions on all of that. Just one way in general, her suggestions all pointed to black women to stop aiding emasculation for black men by no longer supporting the degeneracy, which comes in the form of violence, children out of wedlock, not getting married. Black women need to stop supporting black men who participate in those things, whether it's a guy you're trying to date down to like your cousin or your brother. If he's doing degenerate behavior, all black women in that family need to kind of excommunicate him. Stop supporting that degenerate behavior, because it is emasculating in itself to not take care of your family. You are giving up a masculine role of leadership by just having a bunch of babies everywhere, not taking care of them, and then thinking it's all okay because everyone else in your life is still supporting you. But if those people stopped supporting you, you would notice that there is a problem with what you're doing, and it would cause you to straighten up and correct yourself if that man cares about the people in his life. So I absolutely agreed with all of her pointers. That is definitely a way black women can aid in no longer emasculating black men, is to not support or give your attention to black men who choose to participate in degenerate behaviors. That was like, I mean, it's already kind of like we should already know this at this point, but that does make sense. That emasculation also looks like a man just not doing his job, not fulfilling his role. Emasculation does not always look like a woman doing something to you or not showing you respect or whatever. Emasculation just looks like a man not doing his role and choosing to not do his role because he just doesn't want to, because he's lacks ambition, laziness, whatever. I'm not talking about men that don't do their role because they have a legitimate reason. I'm talking about men that can do their role, have the resources, the finances, the network, and they just choose not to do it, right? Because the more content I watch when it comes to like, the high value men and all this other crap. And because I was in a clubhouse room yesterday. And the question of the room is interracial relationships the key to solving the loneliness in Black people? And um and the conversation is, went in all different ways. But one part of the conversation was a lot of the Black women were saying that they dated the high value guy who was great on paper and all of these things. And he had the resources, the finances to provide for a family, but he just chose not to do it. So instead, the Black woman started dating out. And once they did, they found love. One woman gave a particular example. She's a matchmaker, Black female matchmaker. I think she's like in Atlanta or she's in Florida. I forgot. Um, but she was a moderator for the clubhouse room. So I really enjoy um, following her sometimes and hearing her perspective. But she was, she had a client, a Black woman who was more of the socially awkward, kind of nerdy Black woman, but very sweet, accomplished, had her stuff together. Definitely a Black woman who works in the corporate sector, but she was, kind of a nerdy, quirky type of Black woman. And um, this matchmaker was giving her story on how the matchmaker was setting her up with all of these high value, well to do Black men on paper, even the nerdy Black men, the educated, lame Black men. And she said all those guys were just not trying to date this woman. They just was dumping her, cutting her off left and right. And then in the midst of her dating cycle, the woman, she converted to Judaism, which is, the Jewish religion. So she told her matchmaker that I just converted to Judaism and I want a Jewish man. And so then the matchmaker was like, okay, well, I don't know if I can have you as a client because I don't know any Jewish men that I can match you with. So you might want to find another matchmaker that knows Jewish men to set you up with. But the thing is about this girl who wanted the quirky nerdy girl, she really wanted a Black man. Like she wanted to have a Black family and all these things. She converted to Judaism, so she wanted to have a Black Jewish man, and she was hoping that this matchmaker would help her. But like I just said, she said, I can't help you, I don't know any Jewish Black men. So she referred her to a different matchmaker who is Jewish, or at least has a big Jewish clientele. And remember how I said all the Black guys she was dating that was on her level, high value, was just ducking her left and right. Well, when she went to this new matchmaker who had a bigger Jewish clientele, she ended up meeting a Jewish man, a Jewish non-Black man, and treated her like a queen. And she said throughout her entire life dating this Black woman, she had never been treated so nicely. This Jewish man was giving her flowers like every week. They started talking about marriage and they're still together, I believe. But, she was saying, if it wasn't for her opening up her options, that she would never have met this Jewish man. She would have kept trying to date even the most nerdiest of Black guys who just still didn't want her. And so the conversation just had to do with how she gave that story to make a point that even the well to do Black men still participate in the degenerate behavior of not wanting to settle down and have families, which in itself is emasculation. It is within itself emasculating behavior to pump and dump women, to have kids everywhere, not try to lead any household, just want to be out here doing the most. That is emasculating because masculine behavior is to lead. Masculine behavior is to commit. Masculine behavior is to hold yourself accountable and be responsible for your actions. Emasculating behavior is the complete opposite of that. So it was just so interesting because the question of the room was, are interracial relationships the key to Black people's loneliness? And she gave a perfect story, a real story of a client who literally dated out. And as soon as she did, she found a mate. He was a white Jewish man. So, but a lot of the other guys in that clubhouse room were, of course, giving their consistent fear mongering tactics and things like that, for black women who want to date out. It was more so focused on black women, dating out, really more so than black men. So I don't know why they put black people in the title, because there was a lot of black women in there. Um, but it was a very interesting room. And when we talk about black men emasculating themselves, they do so even when they have, um, the money to not do so. Emasculation, like I was just saying, is it's not about what women are doing. Sometimes it's just the choices that the men make. These men make choices to emasculate themselves, and it just is what it is. And I know everyone's also talking about that story. Nah, I gotta stop saying story, because these are real life situations of the guy who ended his situationship over $100, or whatever that was about. Well, I watched the live that was done where he came on the live and talked about it. And I think it was on Real Talk with Yanni. And Yanni made a very good point that you asking this woman for money is emasculation. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these men are so ready to point the finger at what women are doing, at what the system is doing to them, when it's literally their choices. It's literally the things that they choose to do, the things they choose to say, how they choose to move. It has nothing to do with what women are saying or doing, more often than not, in my opinion. In my opinion, that's just like what it is. They just want to put the blame on someone else, but the blame is really them. The blame is really them. Hey, ladies coming in. Hey, Bula. Let me see what you guys are saying. Yeah, they do choose to just, they refuse to not do better. And that's really what emasculating is. It's just choosing to not do masculine things, in my opinion. In my opinion. And then they criticize, Will Smith and the Jada thing. And you already know they are criticizing Russell Wilson and Sierra, right? But Russell Wilson is probably the most masculine black man out right now, like that everyone can point to in the media, and just who's known, because he's taking care of his family. He's responsible. I mean, he's doing all the things that a number of black men are saying on here that they wouldn't want to do and are criticizing him for doing. So, these men just choose to not do they choose to not do what's right. Pretty Practical says, what about how they try to defeminize us with their 50-50 and ride or die mentality? Yes, that is true. I think a conversation definitely needs to be had on how, these men will try to defeminize you, especially men who, I guess, do fall victim to being, not fall victim, but they choose to be emasculated. Men who are actually emasculated and want to emasculate themselves, um they bring up the 50-50 and the ride or die nonsense all the time. They will make you feel bad for being a woman. Like, I have met men that have made me feel bad for, I don't know, getting emotional, or um reacting, right? And I don't mean overreacting, just simply reacting. And I just, it's just that, as a woman, you are a emotional being. You're an emotional being. You have feelings. You have, you know, reactions to things. You get emotional. Our emotions range so much more. We have a wide range of emotions compared to a man. Men have emotions, but their emotions aren't as broad as a woman. And so I get emotional. I I tend to feel some type of way. And there are men who will shame you for being that. They'll shame you for being that. which really leads me into the next point, the whole weaponizing and fake femininity. Because I was watching another live like a week or so ago. Well, at least it happened about a week or so ago. And on this live, it was a panel, right? Pretty popular channel. And on this panel, they had a few guys and a few of the ladies on there. And all of a sudden, it took a turn for the worst. Multiple guys started coming for one of the black women that was on the panel. Started saying really crazy things to her. I think how it started was because she was a black American woman, and she made a comment about how black people who are immigrants don't understand what black American people have to go through. Like it was that conversation basically. Foundational black people versus immigrant black people. So it got into that type of conversation. And then it was with another guy on the panel who I believe was African. But he had a lot to say about American black women. So I think that's when she stepped in and said, "But you're African. Like, you're not, why are you speaking on American black women? You're not an American black man. Like, that's not a conversation that you should be having." And so he felt some type of way. He started coming for her, and so did another guy on the panel. He started asking her questions about her panties. He started, talking about, she has a man, so he started talking about how she should go make a sandwich for her man, and all these just crazy comments because he got really, really triggered. And multiple times throughout that conversation, she was saying how she felt uncomfortable. Later on, she made her own live and talked about how the other black men on the panel weren't very protective of her. And this is a pro black female content creator. So sometimes, I don't really watch her content, but I've seen some of it. But she's all about, black love and black family and the black man and black woman being together. But she was on a panel with black men, and one black man was attacking her, and the other black men did not step in and do anything to protect her. And so all these other follow-up lives came from that panel, and a lot of the men were saying that since she was coming for him and his heritage, that it was right for him to talk about her and her panties and all these other crazy things that he was making. Basically, like, there was two sides of it. The other one side was people were supporting the tit for tat, and then the other side was people saying it was wrong that the black men let the tit for tat go on and no one said anything. And so, she in her live, she was saying that she felt uncomfortable. And this live was being watched by like a couple hundred people, by the way. So imagine being on a panel where a couple hundred people, I mean like over 700 people. I probably up to like 1,000 by now, were watching, and you had a man on there, and everyone's on camera as well, so everyone knows what you look like. Everybody was cammed up, and this man that you don't even really know, y'all only know each other from this space, is coming for you, talking about your panties, talking about how you need to go make your man a sandwich and be quiet. What man is going to want to be with you? You're insufferable. You're a single mama. Like, he was making all of these comments, all because she asked about his heritage, because he had so much to say about black American women, but he was an African man. And so she was like, "Why do you have so much to say about black American women? You're not a black American, you are African." Now, me personally, I don't have a thing. I know there's a whole black American versus black immigrants conversation. I don't really have a stance. I'm not, if you look like me, if you black to me, I don't, it is what it is. Um, but this man was really coming for her all because she asked about his heritage, though. It really set him off. It was really, really weird. And so she was saying, "I feel uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable." Now, granted, she started coming for him as well. like I said, it was a tit for tat. So she was also making comments as well, but it was after he was coming for her. And the men were not protecting her. So she felt she needed to put on her bootstraps and go toe to toe with this guy in front of hundreds of people watching to defend herself and defend her name. Um, so, after she made her live and said that she was feeling uncomfortable, everyone else started saying that she was weaponizing her femininity, quote unquote, and that she's technically now this fake femininity type of woman, right? And when I see weaponizing femininity, there is literally no such thing as weaponizing femininity. As a woman, if you feel uncomfortable, you feel uncomfortable. And obviously, only the men were saying this, right? Only the men were saying, oh, she feels uncomfortable, but she had so much to say. She's weaponizing her femininity. She's weaponizing the fact that she's a woman and she's vulnerable. So many brothers get taken down because of this and blah, 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 right? Um, but there's no such thing as weaponizing femininity. A woman cannot weaponize what makes her genuinely feel bad and uncomfortable and is embarrassing to her. This man was talking about her panties in front of hundreds of people, all cammed up on the internet. And no one said anything about it. No one stopped him. No one put him on mute. Nobody moved him down. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. From the clips that I saw, and I didn't, from the clips that I saw in the heat of the moment, he was steady going off, and the man was just sitting there. So, for them to say that her response to that was her feeling uncomfortable, and for the men to say, "Oh, you're weaponizing femininity," I believe that that is a way that is another way that men can defeminize you. They can defeminize you by saying, by basically gaslighting when you feel threatened. And they do that by saying you're weaponizing your femininity. You're not really threatened because you were going toe to toe for him at him, weren't you? You're just weaponizing your femininity. You're just trying to get this man in trouble, make him look bad. But at the end of the day, you was going toe and toe with him. She was only going toe and toe with him because no one else would protect her. Women tap into their survivor mindset if there's no other form of protection. Like, hello. Like, there's no such thing as weaponizing femininity. Obviously, these men want to get away with talking crap, which is why they're going to make up all of these terms: fake femininity, weaponizing femininity. None of this stuff is like backed up by science. This is all like YouTube talk. Okay. This only came about within the last few months, a year, whatever. Well, whenever the manosphere went viral. I know the manosphere has been around for years, but when they went viral and all these other little channels started popping up out of nowhere within the last year or two, like that's when you really started hearing about these terms. I like back in high school for me over 10 years ago, I have never heard of fake femininity. I didn't know what the hell that was. Never. There's no way femininity can be fake. That's not possible. Femininity is not fake. Now, you do have women that just say crazy things, do crazy things as individuals. They make those choices. But in general, femininity is not fake. It is a way of being. You can't fake being what you're wired to be. Like, you can't fake that. You may be able to tell a lie. you may you may be deceitful, but that's different. How can you be deceitful about, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a bunch of lingo and terms for men who don't want to hold accountability, for men who want to feel it's okay to go off on women all the time, who want to put you in your place all of the time. I was on in a chat, and a man was talking about about the same situation, and about that panel. And he was saying that the guy was right. He was right in his tit for tat that he did. He was right in going back and forth with her. He said that men should that black men in particular should fight women back and put those women in their place. They should do it. And I'm just like, so you think black men, the most arrested group of men in the nation, should be just out here going off on people and putting people in their place whenever they believe they should, knowing that this is the most vulnerable group of men who's the most likely to already go to jail, to already get locked up, no matter if they go off on someone or not, they're still the most likely to get arrested. And so you want to heighten those chances by having them get up in a woman's face. When a woman can call the police, right? And on that girl's live, when she did her follow up live from that panel, a white man actually came on her live. She was taking call ins, and a white man came on there and told her that she should file a police report because he was basically sexually harassing her. Um, he was sexually harassing her basically by talking about her panties, talking about her relationship and things like that, and that she's a single mom, like, just all of these things that have nothing to do with the conversation, that are a little bit more sexually based. And the white man came on her live and told her to file a police report. And since she's so pro black, though, she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to handle it, in the community. Right. And people were saying in her own chat, like, this is why black women are divesting. This is why black women are willing to date out, because the men, they're not protecting, they're participating in degenerate behavior, right? Back to what I said earlier about that clubhouse room where the matchmaker told her, was trying to set her up with a black man, even the nerdy, high value black men, and none of them wanted her. And it wasn't until she got with her Jewish man that she not only, you know, was able to get into a relationship with like the best one she's ever had in her life as her own grown adult, accomplished, like as a accomplished grown black woman herself. She had never experienced a good relationship, and she was like well into her 30s until she got with this Jewish guy. So when you see all of these things, when you hear all of the stories, and not stories, I gotta stop saying that, but real experiences that black women are going through with black men, and you see it on the internet, you see it happening on a live panel, and then you hear it from other black women when they're out here dating, it's like you can't help, as a black woman yourself, to understand this is why they're dating out. This is why opening up your options is probably the best thing that you can do, whether you find someone or not. Just date whoever you want, because they continue to act this way because they don't believe you have anywhere else to go. Right? Like that one TikTok, I think Cynthia G plays it a lot in her videos, of the black man, and he's saying that over 90% of y'all like us and want us, so there's no incentive for us to be better because we know that you guys all want us. Right? So there's, I used to, well, I wouldn't say, well, don't scratch that. I just think that even the black men who are good on paper and are high value and accomplished and come from good homes are still very problematic. They still emasculate themselves by not participating in masculine behaviors. And they have no problem defeminizing you by saying that you're fake feminine, by saying that you're weaponizing your femininity when you feel threatened. Um, they do all of these things. And then when you as a black woman try to say your experiences, you then are gaslighted. And it's just funny how they can come on here and talk about relationships and marriage, how the black men can come on here and talk about that stuff and what black women are doing wrong. But the thing is that unless you are dating black men, you do not know what's really going on with these men time after time. Because some of these black men get on here and just act like So many black men are just ready for marriage and kids and leadership and it's just like y'all don't know what you're talking about. You're not dating these guys, okay? The only people who really know the deal are the people who are dating the men. All right, majority of the time. And majority of the time that's been black women. So if black women are coming back to the conversation and saying, this is what's happening, I have all of this stuff together, and there's still none of these men are trying to settle down. They want to exercise endless options. They're not taking care of their kids. They're manipulating and all these things. I can't be with them. I'm just going to date out. Then that's what it is. That's what it is. True Mystique says this is exactly why black women should not be pro black. They will discard you in a heartbeat. Black women are so quick to pay for these fools and they are so quick to throw them under the bus. Exactly. Exactly. And that's what so many women were saying to her in her chat. Like, this is what, this is why black women are divesting. Being pro black is legitimately a scam because these men participate in their own emasculation and their own um, degeneracy. And they do that by just not fulfilling their role as men, as a choice, not because black women are doing something. Like that guy did not have to go off on her like that just because she asked, where are your parents from? Who gets that triggered over that? Like, are you serious? Who gets upset over that? That is the weirdest thing to start going off on someone about because they asked you where your parents are from. Like, what? And I know that's a touchy topic and subject, the whole Black American versus Black immigrants conversation. Like I said before, I don't really have a stance. I'm not, I don't have much to say on how I feel about that. But when I see those conversations and I see, people just getting triggered over that, it's like, that's really. That's really not I mean, it ain't that deep to have a whole tit for tat and the show completely disrupted, and now you're sexually harassing and talking about you a single mama and all this other stuff, like, and then no one else is trying to stop it though. That's the thing. Like, they wanted to see this black woman who was pro black go at it with, I guess he was African, with this African man. And none of the black men on the panel wanted to um stop them. So she said she felt threatened, she felt uncomfortable, and they've they told her she was fake feminine, weaponizing her femininity. And that's another thing. They called her fake feminine because she was going back and forth with the guy. And I guess she called him a few names or whatever. But like I said, she started getting triggered herself. No one else was trying to stop him. He kept coming for her in front of hundreds of people. So she believed that she had to stick up for herself and do the tit for tat. Um, but I don't believe that makes you fake feminine as a woman. If you're defending yourself, that's not fake femininity at all. No such thing as fake femininity. No such thing. Um, you know, I'm seeing a lot of other content too, especially from some of these femininity coaches where majority of their audience are men, which is weird. Like, how do you have a whole channel helping black women being more feminine, but your entire audience, like 90% of your audience are men? How does that make sense? Really, how does that make sense? You really need to evaluate your message. And when I watch these channels, they are channels claiming to help black women be better in every way, right? But the only ways that they're talking about are ways on just how to please a black man. Like, your femininity is based on how you are with a black man. It's nothing about who you are as a woman, nothing about who you are without a man. And yes, on my channel, I talk about relationships, I talk about men and stuff like that. But I definitely have videos on how you can just be a good woman, on being just a better woman. I would never say anything relating to femininity, um, I would never say anything about femininity that only comes from how you treat your man, a black man at that. Sorry, no offense, not trying to throw no shade, but no, I already promote interracial dating. I promote just black women getting with whoever the heck they want. That's what I that's what I promote. Okay, it ain't about getting with a black man over here. Get with whoever you want. Period. All right. But when I see these channels, they just need to stop calling themselves femininity coaches and femininity channels. You're just a channel that wants to help black women get with black men. Just say that. Like, don't put femininity on it because it's not. Femininity is something that any woman of any color embodies. And she does not need to be with a black man to prove so. She does not need to be agreeable 24/7 to prove that she is feminine. That is not femininity. You can be a feminine woman and yes, have a disagreement. You can be a feminine woman and yes, get into a debate. You can be a feminine woman and have boundaries. You can be a feminine woman who doesn't know how to cook. There's plenty of women who are extremely feminine and sweet and they cannot cook to save their life. They'd much rather order food or, hire a meal service or something. Those things don't make you feminine. Now, your ability to do those things can come as a result of how feminine you are. Like sometimes, feminine woman, she may not know how to cook, but maybe she has another feminine hobby that she's really good at doing. Maybe she's good at knitting or something. It can come into that form. It doesn't have to always be something that's for a man or, it could be something that's just for her. Okay. So, I don't know why these channels, these black female femininity coaches who have 90% men in their audience only talk about how black women can be better for black men. That's all they talk about. That's weird to me. There's just no way I can base my entire state of being, which is my femininity, on how I can be with a black man. Like, there's just so much more to life as a human being that you can be experiencing. Why are you diminishing your way of being as a woman to the validation of a black man? Why? That doesn't make any sense. that's not even that's not even biblical. As a Christian woman myself, that's not even biblical. If we want to break down the Proverbs 31 woman, which I was thinking about doing here on my channel because I absolutely love Proverbs 31 woman, she had her own thing going on aside from her husband and her kids. She planted a vineyard. She invested her money. And she didn't do that for her husband. She did it cuz she's just a wise woman who knows how to plan and save for later. Like, there's more to life than that. Like, you can't that's not even how men, real masculine men, they're not attracted to women who don't have a life. Like, you need to have a life outside of a man. You need to do things for yourself just because you want to. Like, you need to be a good woman just because you want to, not because you want to get a black husband. I don't understand that. Like, the manosphere, the black manosphere, how they're letting these women come in and whatever. These women are coming into this black manosphere and talking just a bunch of nonsense. They're not talking femininity. They're just talking about how black women can keep a black man and how they can be better with a black man. I mean, if that's what you want to base your content on, that's fine, but please don't slap femininity on it. Please don't slap on traditionalism either. Okay? There's plenty of traditional women who don't even have a man. You don't need to have a man to be traditional. It's a lifestyle. I mean, like, these channels and these women on here kill me. Like, you're sending such a horrible message to black women who truly want to elevate and be better when you tell them that the main areas of their life they need to improve on is the area of getting a black man. You're really hurting them when you only have a message dedicated to that. Because there are black women on here whose entire channels are dedicated to pleasing a black man, to the point where you can't have no disagreements with one of them. You can't have an opinion. You can't mess up. Nothing like that. Like, a lot of these people on here think femininity means being perfect. It's absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll never understand it. Michelle says, I don't want to argue with any black man. I try to stay away from them. You know, Michelle, I completely understand that. Because who can have a conversation with a group of men who basically, it's almost like these men just want a robot. Like, they don't really want a woman, they want a robot who's always happy, always agreeing, has nothing else going on but is about him. Like, what? That's not a relationship. And that's how you know these men are very insecure. That's how you know these men are very insecure, because they want a woman who will literally shape her life around him in some kind of way. Like, I'm seeing a lot of, like, when I was watching a few Manosphere videos, a lot of them were saying that these women need to surround themselves around the high value men and all this, just all these things that take away women having opportunity to live their life the way they want to. And as a Christian woman, in the Bible, it actually says that if you're single, you're probably better off. Right? If anyone is like familiar with just the history of the Bible, I think it was Paul, one of them disciples, dedicated his life to being single. On my channel, I'm pro marriage. I actually want to see more black women getting married, especially if they want to have children. And just in general, I think a lot of black women, not all, but a lot of black women can experience um, uh, just a really good quality of life if they have a loving home with a loving man and children. That's just what I advocate for. However, I do not think that it is a must that you have this type of lifestyle. Absolutely not. There's plenty of you ladies who say, "Oh, I hope it happens for me one day, but I'm living my life." I actually think that's great, because these men on here are making it seem like you must do it. These men on here are making it seem like you must have one of them as your husband in order for you to live a happy life. And that's just not true. That's not even biblical. In the scripture that I'm talking about, you're actually advised, if you're single, to stay single and just live a life for God. Like, live a life on your purpose and on your passion before you're trying to strive to have a marriage. And if you do so happen to get married, keep in mind that it's not going to be an easy journey, because marriage isn't easy. Relationships in general take work. It's so easier to, be on your own and do your own thing. Honestly, it is. And to be into your passions and your purpose. Much more than it's so much easier to live that way than it is to, you know, have to cater to someone and to, possibly set yourself up to be in arguments and debates and things like that. Those things you have to work through. But men are very lonely, right? In the creation story in the Bible, God created Adam, but then he said Adam shouldn't be by himself. So then he created Eve. He didn't say Eve shouldn't be by herself. He said Adam shouldn't be by himself. Okay? So, you know, a lot of these guys are just showing how much they actually want a relationship and they want a woman. And I've showed you guys this on my channel before, the actual data to back it up too. Overwhelmingly, men want relationships more than women do. I've said this plenty of times that majority of women today do not care to be married. They don't. They're buying their own houses. They're climbing up corporate ladders. I was in TJ Maxx the other day shopping for candles, and I'm seeing stickers that say woman owned. Like, women are out here starting businesses and selling their products in the store. I mean, I don't know if those women are single or not, but women are moving up in a way that it's like they're proud to show that they're moving up on their own. Like, they're proud to show that they have a fully woman owned and fully woman operated businesses out here, that the men are not needed in their everyday life for them to thrive in the form of an intimate relationship. And that's pretty much what my last video was about. I don't need a man. I pretty much explained that having a husband is nowhere near required for you to live a successful life as a woman. In 2022, it's just not. It is what it is. But these men want to make it seem like it is. I don't know if they're just stuck in 1900, but it's not like that. And it's not like that because men made it this way. Men civilized the world so much that now women can live full lives without having a husband. They can buy their own property and have their own bank accounts now and things like that. Things that those women couldn't do before, but men made it so that they could. And it's never going to go back to how it was because the economy makes way too much money now off of women working. It's never going to go back to how it was, ever. And marriages are actually lasting longer now that men and women are marrying because they genuinely love and actually really like each other. Marriages are lasting longer now that people are marrying once they're done with school, once they're financially where they need to be, once they've paid off all their debt, and then they date and then they marry. Marriages are lasting longer now because of it. And not only lasting longer, but married couples are reporting that they are happier compared to marriages times when women were married because they had to, early 1900s, but they were miserable, but they couldn't leave because they didn't have any money. The laws back then, everything would be, um, in the favor of the husband back then, as far as kids and all that. It's not like that anymore. Women are actually happy in their marriages now because they're with the man they want. They've accomplished what they wanted to accomplish, and they settled down at a time in their life when they wanted to settle down. It is what it is. You got women out here birthing babies at 49 years old. Like, women are not pressuring themselves to have a husband anymore. You're more likely to be happier and last in your marriage if you do wait a little while to get married and get your stuff together. It's just that's how it's seeming now. But the men on here, they want to make it seem like it's a race to the altar or something. Like, you're running out of time. What are you doing? Like, what? What? And that brings me to my next topic, the emotional manipulation tactics. This whole entire space is emotional manipulation. This whole entire, like, all these femininity channels that have 90% men watching, and then the manosphere channels and the kitten heels and all that. It's all emotional manipulation. All of it. Especially that situation where, that guy ended his situation, relationship or whatever, over $100 with that woman, right? Apparently he did it because he wanted to test her. And testing someone, I would never recommend that. That is pure and flat out manipulation. It's also a sign that that person is impatient. They don't actually want to take the time to get to know you, to see who you are. They want to put you through the ringer. They want to put you through riddles and puzzles and all this other crap, hoping really that you fail. It's also a way to self-sabotage a relationship when you're constantly testing um, your significant other. You're constantly purposely putting them in situations where they might 100% of the 100% fail or do something wrong in some kind of way. It's an easy way for you to self-sabotage. So when a man tries to test me, because these men will do it, um, but particularly with these kinds of situations of asking me certain questions and trying to trigger me and put me in these certain kinds of situations to see how I'll do and how I'll act, I'll kind of know that he's probably not really that interested in me, but definitely that he's not trying to have anything serious. Because if you were, why are you trying to ruin it? If you were really trying to have something serious, why would you try to set it up to fail? How does that make sense? People that do that, they also just, there's a lot of things that is revealed when someone is just always testing you. But the number one thing is that they probably are commitment phobes. They're always looking for a way out. That's why they're always trying to test you all of the time. So when that guy did that, thing with that woman over $100, and well, for you ladies who don't know, I mean, it kind of went viral. So, but for you ladies who don't know, it was a man who went viral. He made a Facebook post talking about how he asked this woman he was dating for $100. She asked him all these questions about why he needed the money. And because of that, he cut her off. And he was saying that as a man, you shouldn't question me. I'm not one of your kids, and I was going to have a trip. He had a trip planned for her and everything. But because she didn't just say, "Yeah, sure, I'll give you the money," um, he considered it, that she didn't care and that she wasn't the woman for him. But he said that it was all a test. He didn't really need the $100. He wasn't going to take it even if she offered it, but he just wanted to see what she would say. And why would you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're looking for a way out. Cuz why would you ask someone for money as a test? I don't even ask my family members for money as a test. I really don't ask for money, period. That's me personally. I just don't. I don't. I'm not married. I have no real reason to ask a man for cash. I have my own money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm dating to have something real. I'm not dating, that's just how I move. I know there's a women who are different. I personally just don't. I don't do it. Um, but I don't do things like that either. I don't test men that way because I'm looking to see who you are. And the only real way I'm going to see who you are is if I take the time to do so. Putting you through all these tests and all this stuff is not is worthless to me. It's a waste of my time. Autumn says it probably wasn't a test. He is just saving face or guilt tripping women. Yeah, I think so too. Because when he did go on and talk about it some more, he just was all over the place. He was just all over the place. He made a whole lesson about it. See, this is what's wrong with you women today, type of stuff. He was just all over the place. He claims it was a test when he first did it, but he was just all over the place. He was a 34-year-old man asking a woman this for $100. And this woman has 4 kids. He has a child of his own, and she has 3 or 4 kids, I think. Even I still wouldn't ask for money, but I would never ask a single parent for money, especially. That's just me. I wouldn't, because it's like, just no. I at least definitely wouldn't expect it. It was a horrible way to test, and it was a clear sign he just wanted out. And that's typically what men do. When they genuinely don't want to be with anyone, they will put up obstacles hoping you fail so that they now have a legitimate reason to not be with you and to go back to playing more games. And this is what a lot of quote unquote high value guys do that have it all together on paper. They make the excuse saying that they test women to, you know, make sure that these women aren't gold diggers or they're not after them for their money and stuff like that. But, it's getting to the point where you just don't want to settle down at all. Like, since you know you have a lot to lose, I guess, you don't want a chance losing it at all. And you don't want to get with anyone, but you want to play this game for, I don't know, selfish reasons and ego, whatever. But you're not really serious. Because if you were, you wouldn't be playing these mind games. You wouldn't feel the need to put women in their place. You wouldn't need to do all of this stuff, right? And the thing is, in the Black community, a lot of men just weren't built to lead households. They weren't raised to do it. So they just won't ever do it. And they will continue to make excuses. They will continue to place blame, and they will continue to gaslight, which will cause in them emasculating themselves. Okay. Other healthy men that lead, they think it is childish for a man to just literally live his life working, going to the gym, and pumping and dumping. That's not manly. I told you guys before that throughout history, masculinity was based on a man being able to have some control over himself physically, meaning control over who he chose to sleep with, and a man who was able to be married, not have any scandals, not a bunch of babies everywhere, but married and had a family, protected and provided. Those were the men that were highly regarded in societies. Those are the men who were appointed to like executive level roles. It wasn't the guys who pumped and dumped. It wasn't the guys who just didn't have any criminal records, but you like it wasn't those guys. It wasn't guys who just looked good on paper but pumped and dumped. Those guys never made it to the top. Never. Okay. And I'm seeing a lot of younger Black men in particular who are really too comfortable being pawns. Okay. Being a pawn, being used for things, being used in their workplace to just produce, being used by women to sleep with because they're attractive, but they're not generating anything. They're not creating a family. There's no parts of their life where they're the lead. It's like they're being used up by something else or by someone else. A lot of in adult entertainment, in the adult entertainment industry, if you know what I'm saying. I don't want to say the word, but when people take their clothes off on TV and on the internet and make videos, that industry, if you know what I'm saying, the Black men are solely there to just please the white woman. Like, that's what I'm seeing a lot. And it's like, okay, well, wait, hold on. I don't want to say that's what I'm seeing a lot. Like, I'm watching that. But I meant, like, that's what I'm seeing, like, that mentality of, like, being a pawn, you know? It's disgusting. Like, where's the leadership in your own life? Why are y'all comfortable in your own emasculation? I think, like, in some of those videos, the Black men are called bulls. It's, like, disgusting. And they're called on by other men to sleep with their wives. It's gross. And the Black men are actually okay with this. Like, they're okay with being used. And they're okay with being used because they're not trying to lead. They're not trying to create their own. And it's like embarrassing. But, when I saw that guy with that $100 talking about how he ran that test, that's all emotional manipulation. Let me play another video for you guys. It's just a TikTok of a man talking about how It's just not a woman's job to make men feel better. Like I said, these femininity channels talking about fake femininity, weaponizing femininity, those are all things used against women who act within their true natural selves. If you say you're uncomfortable by a man, you're weaponizing your femininity. If you don't like a man and you don't want to cook and clean for him all day, you're fake feminine. Like, or you don't want to cook and clean for him, but you do it for yourself. You're fake feminine. All this other crap. Um, which isn't even true. Like I've said, those things don't matter. You feel uncomfortable, you feel uncomfortable. You don't want to cook for him, but instead you're a great cook and you cook for yourself and your family, but you don't want to cook for him. No, you're not being fake feminine. You just, maybe the guy, he just ain't it. I don't know. You have a boundary. You just don't like him, whatever it is. And you have the right to feel and think how you want. And so these terms are brought up to make women feel bad for those things, though. So let me play this video for you guys.
Women can actually genuinely understand how lonely the majority.
That's okay. It's not their job to understand. They don't need to understand. Nothing in our society should be dictated by that information. It doesn't excuse men for any of their behavior, and it's not something that anyone should consider for even more than a second. If you're unhappy in this world, figure out a way to find happiness yourself. Stop expecting women to somehow supplement your happiness just because you're depressed and lonely. They're lonely too. Imagine living in a world where their only value is to satisfy another gender.
Okay, so I thought that was a really good TikTok. He, especially towards the end, when he said, "Imagine living in a world where your only role is to satisfy another gender." That makes me think of these femininity channels where these pro-black women are talking about how you're only your most true feminine self when you have a man by your side. When not only when you have a man by your side, but a black man by your side, and you're doing all these things for him. You're not arguing, you're disagreeing. And it's just like, no, it is not a woman's responsibility to make these men feel better. A lot of men just lack purpose. And so they're looking for that through women. This is a big reason as to why a lot of men can't stop sleeping around. They're always looking for something new in a woman. And usually the guys who do this, who have a lot of uh like physically intimate partners, these men will, when it's all said and done, will come out and say, "Oh, I was looking for something. I was trying to fill a void. I felt empty." And so his way of filling that void was being promiscuous himself. But it's like no woman can fulfill that loneliness and that purposelessness that a man has. He has to find a purpose himself. Women have to find their purpose. Women have to have passions. They have to have skills. That is what's going to make you your best woman. It's not pleasing and doing what you can to make a man happy. That's not how it goes. So these femininity channels, if you want to talk about how to keep and how to get and keep a man, do you, but please don't label it femininity. It's so not that. And then when you talk about femininity, please do not make it seem like the woman just can't make any type of mistakes. She has to be perfect and on go all the time, and the moment she's not, oh, she's fake feminine. The moment she wants to defend herself, she's fake feminine, or she's a chameleon. The moment she says she's uncomfortable, oh, she's weaponizing her femininity. No, no. Femininity is not pretty, perfect, polished, and poised 24/7, 365 days a year. It's not. It's also when you feel sad, angry, and upset, frustrated, or like you have to be on the defense. Those are normal human emotions. It's normal to get angry. You shouldn't, I mean, if we're talking from a biblical standpoint, you should be slow to anger, but anger is still there. You still feel angry. You still can get angry. It's just not something you shouldn't be popping off all the time. But if you feel that you need to say something and stick up for yourself, you have that right. And no, you're not wrong and you're not crazy. So, I'm just seeing from these spaces that a lot of Black people don't know what femininity is. And I say people as in, yes, Black men and women, because they have these channels that just talk utter nonsense, that really give no substance. It just makes men feel good. Because I guess apparently there's a lot of men that feel horrible. And the only way they're going to feel good is if they talk about women all day. And the moment you try to talk about them, it's a whole issue. It's a whole entire issue. Let me see what you guys are saying. Willa says, I called BS. Black men are notoriously finding something wrong with Black women. That's why I refuse to entertain another one. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, at this point, it's like to them, Black women just can't do anything right. Um, it's really, to me, it's looking like Black women can't even be human. But don't let another woman come into the picture, and now she's called a Karen, spicy Latina, dragon lady. Dragon lady is also a term for an angry Asian woman. But one guy was kind of arguing with me on Twitter, so I told him, like, the angry Black woman is not the only, like, we're not the only group of women who get angry. So then I told him, like, there's also spicy Latinas, Karens, and dragon ladies. Like, those are all names for women who also suffer anger. But it's like these men can be very anti-Black, that they don't notice um that they don't notice that literally every other woman does the same thing. But you only have an issue when a Black woman does it. That is what it means to be anti-Black. You're not anti the issue. You are anti-Black. You're just anti-Black. Like, you're anti-Black woman, period. Because other women get angry. Other women also have imperfections. They're also overweight. Some of them are also baby mamas. But a Black woman doing it is like a major problem. It's like a major problem. Simply Stephanie says, marriage is overrated. Finding a real loving man of any kind is hard to find. Believe me, I have been married twice. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Ray says, the crazy part is they don't want to be with the women that are or aspire to be what they claim to be. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I just don't see other races of men talking like this and being this way to that degree. So Wisdom Carling said, I get turned off by women who tell Black women to read the book How to Love a Black Man. Ugh, it's really weird. Like, doesn't that say something? Like, why is there a book on on how to love a Black man? Like, what is that saying? Why do people write books on things usually, on topics? They write them to so that people can get a better understanding, right? Okay. But do people write books on things that are easily understood and that are everyone just gets? Like, is there a book on how to breathe oxygen? Is there a book that's going to tell you to make sure you have food so that you don't die? Right? Like, the fact that there's a book on how to love a Black man makes me feel like, is it difficult to love a Black man? And if it is, why would any woman want to engage with a man who's difficult to be with? Why do I need a book to understand how to be with you? Why can't you just be a good person? Why can't you just improve the parts of you that need improvement so that you're more relatable? Like, that should be a message to Black men on the work that they need to do. I mean, where are the books? Where are the books that are telling you how to love a white man? Where are they? Where's the books that are telling you how to love a Latina? Like, I don't understand. I know that there's books on black women swirling because that's not something that's done all the time. And there's a lot of black women who don't know the first thing about dating outside of their race. So I absolutely think those books are necessary. But again, swirling for a black woman who's never swirled is going to be a little hard for her to understand how to approach it. So there, of course, are going to be books. There's going to be a market for books on that. I don't believe there should be a market on how to love a black man. Why can't black men just be more relatable and easier to be with, like other people? There's no books on how to love an Asian man. Literally, there's none. Like, it's embarrassing. That is also emasculating. Writing books on how someone can be in a relationship with you as a man, that's just kind of pathetic. They need to stop writing books like this. They need to stop doing videos like this. Black men just look more and more crazy when they um put out content like this on how to love me as a black man. Like, that's just strange. Melanie says that's true. Many of these channels with women who claim femininity really are listening to men using male talking points on what femininity is. Exactly. They really are. They really are. They're just listening to manosphere talking points. And the room I was in yesterday on Clubhouse, a woman came onto the stage and was kind of bashing. She claims that she was married or she's trying to get a divorce, something like that. But she used manosphere talking points, telling all the women that instead of them dating out and trying to expand their options, that they should, choose better. Like, all of those talking points. And it's just like, that's not going to work. Choosing better in a black man is just not going to work because to be honest, choosing better, I think, yeah, choosing better is a thing. I think just choosing to have more is more important when it comes to expanding your options. But, choosing better, you should. But at the end of the day, you can't control someone. Like, someone can be better on paper, but still they can choose to be whoever they want, like not on paper, if that makes sense. So when I hear women say choose better, and you know those male talking points, is like, you can technically choose a man who's better on paper, but his character is still very much low level character, very much so. And I don't think, when the men say that in the space and all those other women that are those pro black women say that, I don't think they get it. Like, you can choose better. You can go from choosing a legitimate pookie to an attorney, but still their mindsets are the same. They're still participating in emasculating and degenerating behavior. Doesn't matter. And I don't want to say choosing better means, choosing um a non-black man, because I don't want to put non-black men on a pedestal, because all men of any color are capable of um, you know, not doing the right thing. There's dust. Dust comes in every color, like we all should know. But if you were truly to follow that whole choose better and just that would involve you expanding your options. And if you did that, you would probably, yes, end up with a non-black man if you were to do so, not based on putting these men on a pedestal, but just based on the real facts and statistics regarding men of other cultures who were just raised differently and have different values and different expectations. You know, Ray says they love to tell black women to choose better, but they can't tell you how to tell a pookie from an educated lame. Both are unaliving black women at the same rate. Now that's a fact. It's always about black women choosing better, almost like these men are just animals and just can't control themselves and can't just make better choices. It's almost like, in order for you to have a better outcome as far as who you choose to date and marry, you just have to choose better. The conversation can never be what men can do to just be better, because at the end of the day the excuse is, oh, he's going to do what he wants, he's a man, right? And that's how the degeneracy gets started, and the emasculation as well. Emasculation also looks like not holding a man accountable for when he does wrong, not trying to mentor young black boys how to grow into better black men. Instead, you're relying on the woman to pick and choose um, which black men become or are better, instead of the men taking ownership over their lives and choosing to just be better men, to practice discipline and to use their discernment to make sure they make good choices. Why does it have to be that only black women have to, know what I'm saying? Like, it's like it doesn't make any sense. It's just one way to keep the degeneracy going, by making it seem like these men just have no power over their own actions. That you only way you can get a man with some control is you just have to choose him, because expecting that from every guy is just unrealistic. It's sick. It's truly sick. But all right, ladies, I just wanted to come on and talk about these things. Um, I'm gonna leave the video up because I think it was a good live. But subscribe if you're a first time listener, like the video on your way out. But emasculation is something that men do to themselves, by the choices that they make when they choose to just not participate in masculine behavior. And the only way black women can aid with that is just to not support the men who choose to be in degenerate behaviors, whether they're pookies or quote unquote high value, whatever it is. And weaponizing and fake femininity is not real. You feeling uncomfortable against a man who is literally talking crap to your face, and you're trying to defend yourself and no one is helping you, and you're feeling like you're feeling just, uncomfortable and threatened. You're not weaponizing your femininity. That's genuinely how you feel. That's genuinely how you feel. And men who want to feminize you are going to, are going to make you feel like you should be able to take the heat just like the men. And it's like they don't understand that women get into survival mode. They're not trying to get into competition mode. They're just trying to defend themselves in the event that there's no other form of male protection. No such thing as weaponizing fake femininity. Femininity cannot be weaponized, and femininity cannot be fake. Not true. So, and when it comes to the emotional manipulation tactics, they come in the form of tests, men asking you questions and trying to put you through situations to, low key set you up to fail. It's also a clear sign of him letting you know that he's not serious, that he's trying to just waste your time, or he has already, and he's just trying to look for a way out. Men who don't want to commit, who are also emasculating themselves, this is what they do. They want to test you instead of actually taking the time to get to know you, taking the time to use their discernment, practicing patience, and being genuine and letting things take its course to see who you are. Instead of them just doing that, which is normal, they want to put you through these tests so that they can save time and all this other stuff. And it's funny that they say they're not trying to waste their time when they're also the first ones to say that they have all the time in the world, right? Since they can create babies at any age, and it's women who are on the biological clock. So if we want to talk about testing, It should be women who are testing the men, since we're the ones who are on our biological clocks, right? But I still personally, I don't suggest testing. I suggest genuine connections across the board. Melanie says, I agree with that. If you choose better, you will not end up with a black man. I mean, evidently you won't if you choose better. And I'm not saying that to put non black men on a pedestal. I'm saying that based on the culture and the statistics. And choosing better means that you've probably expanded your options as well. And you'll probably end up with someone who's not black. And it is what it is. Doesn't have to be that way, but unfortunately it is. Unfortunate for those guys who aren't getting picked. But all right, ladies, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Once again, like this video, comment down below your thoughts on this live and on these topics. If you're catching the replay, turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss it when I go live. And I'll talk to you ladies in the next one. Bye.